and welcome to Elizabeth Magical Garden, a magical garden reaching for the stars.
Hey guys, welcome back. Be sure to check out the show notes at the bottom of this recording because I usually have a lot of cute little tidbits along the way, and you also get to follow me on Instagram at Elizabeth Magical Garden. All the information will be down below.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth from Elizabeth Magical Garden, a magical garden reaching for the stars. Guys, welcome back to the podcast. We are here. We are breathing, honey, and we want to say thank you for that, right? Guys, today's episode, we're going to be discussing nutrition. This is a very touchy and dear topic for me personally. I am a person that was what most people would say a pescatarian. In my day it was just a vegetarian, but I did eat fish. So I was a pescatarian for 9 years. So I'm just giving you a brief synopsis of the backstory of myself and why I chose to stop eating meat. Now, with that being said, I do eat meat presently, but I want to talk about what took place and why I stopped, and also the effects and the benefits that I noticed during the course of my journey up until. This episode was put on my heart because I feel like a lot of people are aging in a way um, that is not the most healthiest, especially for African American people. So, this is not telling you to do anything, but I'm just here to nudge you if it was already put in your spirit that you do need a change and you want to go the holistic route. I'm not saying not to check with your physician. I am not a professional, but I'm just giving you a nudge. So let's start. So 9 years ago, I was confronted with a decision to make for myself. And what took place that led me to extensive research. And when I say extensive, I'm talking about all in, where I was going to sleep like 4 o'clock in the morning. At that time, presently, I was still working my 9 to 5, and I would spend all evenings researching, reading intensely for just a percentage of people making certain decisions in terms of what they would put in a plate and what was the research behind that. Okay, so a lot of things changed from that time, but at the same token, things tend to either get a little better or a little worse. For me, I feel like it got better. So I was about 46, 47 at that time. Matter of fact, not even 46, 47. What am I talking about? I was in my 40s, okay? This is not, I'm 52 now. So, okay. I was in my late 30s, early 40s, and I found myself in a way where my menstrual cycle was coming down very heavy, okay? And I intuitively knew what was taking place. But like I said, I am a type of person, I believe in going the holistic route, and I also believe in going the Western route, right? So I'm always going to check my checks and balances, even though I pretty much know the answer. So with that being said, my menstrual cycle was coming on very heavy at that time. So I made an appointment to go see my GYN doctor, to go see what was happening, what was taking place, because I always had a heavy menstrual, but at that time, I'm talking about like it was lasting way more than the 7. It was like going into the 2 week, 2.5 era situation. So I went in, and of course, what I pretty much knew for myself intuitively, it was fibroids. So I remember the doctor. I'm not going to say her name, but it was a woman. It was a black woman. And she just basically said, "Oh, yeah." She sent me for the sonogram appointment. And pretty much they took a sonogram of my ovaries. And lo and behold, yes, I had fibroids. Her, this is what got me pissed, right? Because at the time, she just said to me, basically in a blank setting, and guys, I'm outside, so if you hear any noise, you already know what's going on. But you guys should know this about me: when something is put on my spirit, I don't wait until I have a particular medium to bring it forth to you, because I don't work that way. So thank you in advance for your patience. Um so she just basically said that, you know what, right now I don't remember the centimeters or how big they were, but she said we're just going to keep an eye on it. And basically she just put a band-aid on me and just kept it moving. And this is I'm just saying, she didn't really put a band-aid, but okay. And I was, first of all, I was mortified. I already knew it was fibroids, but I didn't know it was fibroids. So when and I just want to take a pause here, right? Because the creator God is a wise God, because he created us, right? The creator created us, and we already intuitively know when something is happening. I believe within us. We just It's just us taking the time to realize the state that we're in. And a lot of times we don't take time to listen to our bodies, because we are moving so fast. We're getting this one ready. We're achieving these goals. We're so stuck in our masculine energy with the goal and achieving and getting things together, that we're not taking time to listen intuitively to our bodies, ladies. And this goes for whether you're black or, I don't care what nationality you are, but I'm specifically speaking to African American women, because it's 68 or 62, between 62 and 68% higher in black women, period, and no matter what region. But I'm mostly speaking upon the northern hemisphere, because that's where I'm at, and it's between 62 to 68% higher in black women to have fibroids. I don't know why, but that's usually the thing. Check out my later podcast. I believe that episode was 253, where I was explaining the dates of the moon phases and why it's also important to follow the moon phases. Because personally, I feel like when you do that, first of all, I personally believe that every woman should be following the moon phases. That's just my personal belief, no matter what your religion is. And the reason for that is because it forces you to take time, guys, to listen to your body, to getting in tune with nature, because our menstrual cycle, our cycle, whether you are still in the bleeding phase or not, your body is attuned to the moon, right? So taking time to listen to your body is just extremely important. But I started doing a lot of research, and I realized that meat at the time was really not the best thing for me, because we know that they pump so much hormones into these animals. A lot of things that they feed these animals are not just grass fed, because everything is being produced, and we're consuming these things, which will feed the fibroids. Okay, you can look this up, you can read on it, and so forth. So I made the decision. And why did I make this decision? Again, I was all in. I was doing this research, and I came across this one thing where it says people that don't eat meat, and again, this is like over 9 years ago, right? Tend to live longer, and they live 2 point whatever years longer than the average person that consumes meat. Then I came across some individuals that stop eating meat and how they saw a significant change within their bodies. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to go cold turkey because that's what I do, right? I'm going to go cold turkey and I'm going to take meat from my diet. Now, I want to just explain something to you. When I stopped eating meat, it wasn't like now. Now they practically hold your hand. There's so many different options that you can have when you stop eating meat. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that in my neighborhood. It wasn't like that, period. Everything was meat, 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 chicken, chicken, chicken. And there wasn't a lot of vegan options. And I realized that I starved myself for like 2 weeks because I didn't know what to eat. Meat was the biggest thing on my plate. I didn't know anything. I just went in and took this portion off of my plate, not realizing that what am I going to put to substitute, right? So then I had to learn while I'm not eating the meat, I had to learn how to eat all over again. I had to learn what had proteins, like my lentils, my like all the things that I can put on my plate that still was good because at the time all I was eating was potatoes, vegetables. I was eating a lot of pizza, so I was consuming a lot of cheese and so forth because I was desperate, guys. I really didn't want to have to go to the doctor for any particular reason or because I didn't do my due diligence. So what did I notice? First of all, I was using the bathroom. I was urinating. It was like I was getting off of drugs, honestly. Okay. I was urinating for 10 days. I'm talking about nonstop. Like I just kept going to the bathroom. I just kept going to the bathroom. I kept going to the bathroom. That was the first thing that I noticed, right? All like this water, just water. And it could also be because I was consuming a lot of water too, but I just was all the toxins just was pouring out of my body, right? That was the first thing. After those 2 weeks, guys, I noticed my sleep after 10 days, and I remembered it. I remember this like it was yesterday. After 10 days, my energy level, I became like a teenager. It was so weird because I had so much energy that when I was going to work, I was like a kid. Everybody was around me was like sluggish as I was before I started my journey. Everybody was sluggish around me. People were looking at me like, "What got into you?" My energy level went through the roof. I was back working out. I was just doing all the things that I didn't realize over the course of the years that I dwindled and I wasn't doing. And that's how the age process, when you are not being strategic, how it will grasp you, right? First, your energy levels go down. Then you're not doing a lot of things. You're not moving your body and so forth, right? We already know the story. So my energy level went up through the roof. Then I started losing the weight. Now, I want to take a pause on that, right? Because I'm not the biggest person. I was more fluffy, but I'm 5'8". So I think I believe before I stopped eating meat at that particular time, I was about 148, which is like the biggest I've ever been for my particular weight size, and which may not be a lot to some people, but if you're coming from a scale from where you was always like 125 ish, that you will feel a difference, right? So again, and I didn't do it for the weight. I was just trying to find a holistic way to um not feed the fibroids, basically starve them so where they could shrink down and not be so it wouldn't affect me as much with my when my menstrual cycle would come on. So I started losing the weight, guys. I lost so much weight. And when I say lost weight, okay, I went from 148 and I went back. to 125. I would say 125, 126. Again, I'm 5'8", so that was the bone structure. And at that time, everybody was looking at me like I was crazy. And I want to stick on this, right? Because I would go back and forth. I would always fluctuate in my weight, but at that time, because I took such a stand on not having consuming meat on my plate, I was getting really thin, right? And a lot of people, weren't saying nice things behind my back. I could care less. But I just want to make that a known fact, especially if you guys, I'm at work. I mean, I'm at work. Guys, I'm outside. So, well, I am working, right? I'm over here. I'm creating this. I'm creating this for you guys. This segment for you guys. But um, uh, I want to say right there, because especially in the African American community, where having a big tush is a thing, just being robust is a thing, and it also goes down to our lineage and our ancestors, right? We have to understand a lot of the things and a lot of the concepts that we hold dear, near and dear to our hearts really comes from a primitive way of thinking. you know, Back in the day, the bigger you were showed that you were, how can I say, fruitful. You had money. You were ready to have kids, right? So a lot of the ways that we think today really is passed down genetically in our DNA. I just want to take time for that. And I'll go and touch more on that in terms of how our DNA can really touch on the way that we think today and we don't know. And this is why it's important to understand where you are in terms of your family lineage. Things has been passed down from centuries to centuries to centuries. And this is where you hear like break the chain, right? You don't have to necessarily fall in the same path way that your genetics is leading you to. And you can also make this work for you. But like I said, I'll down the line. We have time by the grace of God. So once I started realizing and connecting the dots, I just stood the course. And the reason why I'm touching on that is because a lot of times we'll make big decisions in our lives, and because we still have the same people that are present in our lives before prior to our current decisions, can make us feel bad about ourselves, can make us feel like we're doing something wrong. People were looking at me like, are you eating? Is everything okay? And everything was okay. I was just taking charge on my diet, right? And for 3 years, guys, people were looking at me like I was like I had 20 heads. But guess what happened? And this has been the ongoing theme of my life, right? you know I always feel like God have created me in a way where I'm always ahead of my time. And that's just how it's been. I don't know why, but it's just been like that. Because let me tell you something, after those 3 years, those same people that were scoffing behind and saying things, if I cannot count on both hands how many people, because of their diet, started coming to me and wanting to know and wanted tips from me on how they can change their diet because they found themselves in the same way. Okay. So never feel like you're doing something wrong when you know in your spirit you're doing something right, because everybody on your immediate circle is telling you that is wrong. Because 9 times out of 10, those same people are going to come to you for advice. I'm just saying. So when I took that charge and I decided to take meat off my plate, not only did I see a significant difference in my weight, also my menstrual cycle within a month, guys. Within 2 months, I seen like an 8% difference in my menstrual cycle. I kid you not. It went from how can I say, 2.5 weeks to like a week and some change. That was just 2 months. So of course, once I seen, because this was all trial and error for me. Once I seen the difference, I stood the course because I felt different. I looked different. I was moving different. So I stood the course, guys. I educated myself and I learned how to eat again. And I was blessed to have really great family and friends that supported me in my decision when I would go to functions that they were having. Listen, I made it a point to eat before. I was a queen of having sides. I would have the rice, I would have the veggies, all the sides that goes along with the meat. I was queen of the sides, right? But I was very appreciative that they took me in their hearts, and they would have fish available for me. They would create like single dishes that they knew I could eat, and I would never forget that. I will never forget that. And I'm forever indebted to them because they made what could have been a harder situation for me a more comfortable situation, and they also included me in just in on their table, right? So I'm always appreciative of that. So if you have friends like I had that do stuff like that, you know what, hold them tight because they did help the process. But I also, through my journey, what I received and what I didn't realize. And this is when I decided, when I find my journey, because every journey comes to an end, right? Regardless of what you want to believe or not, there's always an end to each journey. This is why we pass on, right? There's always an end. And what I didn't realize, it changed my spirit, guys. What? And it's so interesting that I stopped on the ninth year. Nine is a divine number. Seven, 1, 3, 2, 5, 10, 11. I would even put 12, but I'm going to stop at 11, are divine numbers. And nine is a feminine number. Nine is a goddess number. And the fact that I would stop on the number nine just solidified my whole way of doing things. Okay. What it did was it changed the way I seen things. It changed my spirit, guys. Guys, my spirit changed. I completely changed holistically. It changed the way I was able to receive downloads. It changed my way of seeing things. It changed me. And this is not to shame nobody that is eating meat, that will continue eating meat. Guys, I just disclosed that I eat meat as well now, right? I don't do as much red meat. Every now and then I'll do a steak, but mainly I do fish and I do chicken. What I realized is that I was able to feel in a heightened state. And think about it. You're consuming something that's not alive. You're consuming something, and I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but I just got, me, I gotta, I'm gonna paint the picture. I was consuming something, I was consuming animals that wasn't put down in the best way. And this is why, people that follow Judaism, they have a way in how they prepare their meal. This is why you hear kosher, right? They have a way of how they do things and how they consume things. This is a real thing. This is a real thing. And if I didn't think it was a real thing, I realized it was a real thing when I stopped eating meat. Okay. And I noticed this probably like maybe like within a 3 year frame. The reason why I'm sharing this with you guys is because you have the power to change your genetic hemisphere. Fibroids is a thing that, you know it's not an easy thing. A lot of people go into surgery. There's people that have to have surgery. And I've heard, and again, I'm not a doctor, speak to your physician. I'm speaking, I'm sharing my story. Now, I chose to take the long road. That's just the thing for me. I will always choose a holistic way of doing things because that's just the way the creator made me, right? I'm not opposed to Western medicine, but this is just my belief. I truly believe that every single thing that we need, the creator God has already provided for us. With that being said, you have to have a certain mindset, you have to educate yourself, and you have to have your own due diligence. Due diligence. And I just want to share this concept and this way of life with you guys because I know that a lot of us are busy, a lot of us are working career women, a lot of us don't have time to do the things. But guys, if you don't take time to love on yourself, if you don't take time to sit with yourself and see what you truly need, what is the point of all the success? What is the point? What is the point of being a six-figured woman? What is the point of creating all these businesses and getting all these degrees if you're not taking care of your physicality, right? So I wanted to share this way of thinking, this way of life that can be yours. Because let me tell you something. I realized and I learned and I had ascended in so many different lives in so many different ways. And I believe one of the reasons why I was able to be receptive to the things that I learned and the things that I came to spiritually is because I wasn't consuming meat. I truly believe that, which also gifted me, which changed the trajectory of my physicality. It was a byproduct. It was a byproduct of me taking a stand for myself. Whew, guys, that right there sends me to this day. And when I stopped my journey, it wasn't because it wasn't working for me, but it was because it wasn't working for me. And I'll make another subject for that because when the road ends, a road ends, and then it's time to get on another road. And I'll do more segments upon nutrition and how you can use it to change the trajectory of your physicality and your spirituality as well. And this is why, even in the Bible, it asks you to fast, right? It asks you to be in a fasted state because when you fast, you're able to receive the downloads much easier and it'll stick because there's not a lot of other interference. Guys, be sure to sign up to my email list at Elizabeth Magical Garden, where you will be privy of all the things that I am currently working on that I will be offering to you guys in the near future, as well as check out my podcast channel at Elizabeth Magical Garden Podcast. All the links will be down below. Guys, stay blessed, stay in peace, and stay empowered. Peace.
Hey guys, leave a comment and review, preferably 5 stars. And don't forget to check me out on Instagram because what is popping over there? And also check out my YouTube channel to stay connected and see your girl's lovely face. Guys, I love you so much. Keep on pushing, and I'll definitely speak to you soon. Be blessed.